Well, you clicked on this video, so you know what you got yourself into. This is going to be a very long video that is heavy on information you can, of course, find online, but I wanted to take the time to consolidate all of this in one place for you and save you the hours of research I had to do to make this video. Before we jump in, there are a couple of quick notes that I want to make. First, for the sake of time, I'm not going to be covering each one of the welcome bonuses on these cards in this video because those just change too frequently, and I want this to be as straight to the point as possible. Also, a caveat for airline credit cards as a whole, none of these cards in this video are actually ones that I would recommend you put a lot of spend on with all the other options we have out there today. Of course, that is aside from airline specific purchases, as well as any spend that you want to do towards status with these cards. In general though, I would recommend that you get started with a general travel credit card with a transferable currency that allows you to actually use those points with airlines just like these. I will say though that while those general travel credit cards may actually suit all of your needs better than any of these cards would, there are airline specific benefits on these cards that you're not going to find anywhere else, so they are still good as supplemental cards to your core credit card setup. Overall, we're going to be covering 32 different credit cards, which are all linked down below as always, broken into 9 different parts, one part for each of the airlines we'll be talking about here today. And we're only going to be covering credit cards from domestic airlines today, but if you're interested in seeing something like this with the international airlines, let me know down below. And while you're down there, it would mean a ton if you could just check if you're subscribed to the channel, considering only a quarter of my audience actually is subscribed. With that game plan laid out, let's go ahead and dive into our first airline, United. United has a lineup of 4 personal credit cards and 2 business credit cards. The point valuation for United miles is 1.45 cents per point, according to the points guy, whose valuations we're going to be using for the rest of this video. Starting with their first personal card, we have the United Gateway. This card has an annual fee of $0, and it's going to earn 2x back on United purchases, gas stations, local transit, and commuting, and 1x on everything else. The only additional perk it has is 25% back on United in-flight purchases, and my overall thoughts on this card is that it's a good downgrade option, but obviously not very exciting. Next up, we have the United Explorer card. The annual fee for this card is $0 in the first year, and then after that, it's $95. It's going to earn you 2x back on United purchases, dining, and hotels, and 1x back on everything else. This card does come with some more additional perks, that being a free first check bag for you and a companion on your reservation, a $100 global entry TSA pre-check or Nexus credit, that same 25% back on United in-flight purchases, priority boarding, 2 United Club one-time passes every year, and premier upgrades on award tickets when available, and you also need status for that. This card really is one that's a great bang for your buck option. Basically just one trip every year with United is going to cover the annual fee on this card with that free check bag that you get for you and a companion, but it also gives you a lot of other benefits here that most mid-tier airline credit cards just won't. A step up from that is the United Quest card. The annual fee on this card is $250, and for earning categories, you're going to get 3x back on United purchases, 2x on all other travel, dining, and streaming services, and 1x back on everything else. The additional perks on this card are going to include everything that the Explorer card does, but it also includes a $125 annual United purchase credit, which actually can be used for tickets based on what I've read, 2 5,000 mile anniversary award flight credits, and instead of just getting your first check bag free, you're actually going to get your first and second check bags for you and a companion on your reservation for free. Honestly, for me, this is a card that I don't hear a ton about, but it's not a bad choice at all, even though it is kind of in that weird zone between the Explorer card and the highest tier Club Infinite card with United. Of course, you do have that $125 credit that's going to halfway offset that annual fee for you every year. And then if you check any bags at all, you're going to be in the positive once again. So obviously not a bad card. But now it's time to talk about the United Club Infinite card. The annual fee on this one is a hefty $525, and its earning categories are going to be 4x back on United purchases, 2x on other travel purchases and dining, and 1x on everything else. The additional perks on this card are going to be the same as the United Quest card, but additionally, it's going to give you a United Club membership, which is just their lounge access. Plus, it gives you premier access travel services, including priority check-in, security lane access where available, and boarding. And it actually also gives you IHG One Rewards Platinum status and Avis President's Club status as well. Honestly, this is a pretty dang good, just like all around travel credit card for the most part. Maybe you got to learn this alongside me in making this video, but I had no idea that it actually gave you IHG status, which is pretty cool, especially considering Platinum Elite status is the second highest tier with IHG. IHG. Of course, the main pull of this card is that it gives you that United Club membership, which they value at $650 per year. Take that for what it's worth. And with all of these perks, maybe this will be one that one day I consider adding to my setup if I want to start flying with United more. As for their business cards, the first one is the simple United business card. The annual fee on this one is $0 in your first year and then $99 after that. And its earning categories are going to be 2x back on United purchases, dining, gas stations, office supply stores, local transit, and commuting, and then 1x on everything else. The additional perks on this one are going to be the same as the United Explorer card on the personal side, but additionally, it'll give you a $100 United travel credit after 7 United flight purchases of $100 or more every card anniversary year, and a 5,000 mile Better Together anniversary bonus if you had this card along with a United personal card. I do like this card. I think it provides you with a good amount of positive value, and considering you get to test it out for free for a year makes it pretty valuable. But considering a lot of the perks do overlap with that United Explorer card, particularly that free check bag for you and a companion, bringing down this effective annual fee might not be quite as easy if you also have that Explorer card, for example. But if you had this card with something like the Gateway card, that could actually be a pretty killer combo. A step up from that business card is the United Club business. The annual fee on this one is $450, and its earning categories are very simple, just 2x back on United purchases and 1.5x back on everything else. The additional perks on this card are actually exactly identical to the United Club Infinite on the personal side, minus that IHG status we talked about. My thoughts on this one are basically that it's just a carbon copy of the personal version, but a little bit stripped back, especially with the earning categories. Once again though, I don't necessarily think you should be putting a ton of spend on these cards, so how important that is to you, I don't know. I think this card could also be a cheaper way to get that United Club membership, which is, a pretty high value item. That of course is if you can sacrifice some of the benefits that the personal card comes with. Now that we have the United cards covered, let's move into American Airlines. American Airlines has a lineup of 3 personal credit cards and 1 business credit card, and their point valuation is 1.5 cents per point, which is the highest we're going to see today. The first personal card they have is the Advantage Mile Up card, and this card has an annual fee of $0. The earning categories on it are 2x back on American Airline purchases and grocery stores, and 1x on everything else. The only additional perk on this card is 25% back on in-flight food and beverages, which is why my overall thoughts on this card is that, well, it's another no annual fee airline card, so there's not much to love, but could still be a good downgrade option, which is always nice. Next up, we have the Advantage Platinum Select card. The annual fee on this one is $0 for the first year, and then $99 after that. Earning categories are going to be 2x back on American Airlines purchases, restaurants, and gas stations, and 1x on everything else. And its additional perks include a free check bag for you and up to 4 travel companions on your reservation, preferred boarding, 25% savings on in-flight food and beverages once again, and a $125 American Airlines flight discount after you spend $20,000 on this card in your card membership year and renew the card. Once again, this card is very easy to justify and get positive value out of if you just check some bags with American Airlines every year. That is especially true if you're traveling with up to 4 other people every single time, like that perk allows you to do, but either way, should be pretty easy to justify it. American's highest tier credit card is the Advantage Executive card. The annual fee on this one is $595, so not cheap by any means, and its earning categories include 10x back on car rentals booked through the American portal and on hotels booked through their portal as well, 4x on American Airlines purchases, and 1x on everything else. Additionally though, after you spend $150,000 in purchases on this card in a calendar year, you're going to get a bump up to 5x back on all American Airlines purchases for the rest of that year. They also have some ways for you to earn extra loyalty points, and what it reads on their website is that you can earn a 10,000 loyalty point bonus after reaching 50,000 loyalty points in a status qualification year. Then you can earn an additional 10,000 loyalty point bonus after reaching 90,000 loyalty points in that same qualification year. But the additional perks on this card are really where it shines. The first and biggest perk is that it gives you an Admiral Club membership every single year, as well as partner lounge access with that. Plus it gives you a $100 global entry or TSA pre-check credit, your first check bag free on domestic American Airlines bookings for you and up to 8 companions on your reservation, an enhanced airport experience including priority check-in, screening, and boarding when flying with American Airlines. Once again, that 25% savings on in-flight food and beverage purchases. You can also earn a $1 statement credit on every $1 spent at Avis or budget car rentals, and that is up to $120 per calendar year. Plus they have a couple of other slightly more annoying perks, that being because they're monthly credits, but one of them is after taking 3 eligible rides in a calendar month with Lyft, you will earn a $10 Lyft credit for a total of up to $120 in Lyft credits annually. The second one being up to $10 per month in statement credits on eligible Grubhub purchases for a total of, once again, up to $120 in a year. This credit card in particular is one that has been recently revamped, and it definitely has some serious benefits with it, but like I kind of just said, I think some of the new benefits are more annoying than they're worth. In reality though, this card is mostly worth it to people alone because of the Admirals Club membership, which they value at $850 on their website. So it's very similar to the United Club Infinite in that regard, but obviously if you don't want to hold two luxury airline credit cards, which I imagine you don't, you would just want to pick whichever one is with the airline that you fly with the most. I hope that's obvious, but still had to say it. Their one business credit card is the Business Advantage Platinum Select. The annual fee on this one is $0 for the first year and then $99 after that. Earning categories is going to give you 2x back on American Airlines purchases, telecommunications, cable and satellite providers, gas stations, and car rentals, and 1x back on everything else. The additional perks on this one are the same as the Personal Platinum Select card, minus that $125 American Airlines flight credit after $20,000 spent. Plus, it's going to give you 20% back on in-flight Wi-Fi purchases, and you can earn an American Airlines companion certificate for domestic travel after spending $30,000 or more in purchases each card membership year, and you have to renew the card. Also note that to redeem the certificate is going to cost you $99 plus taxes and fees, but it is a decent perk for those that are just wanting to funnel a lot of spend through this card. I think that this card is a pretty decent card, and it's one that, maybe I would consider adding just because it's a business version of the personal card, and it wouldn't add to my 524 count because of that. In order to effectively lower my annual fee, I would be heavily relying on the free check bag that this card gives you, but I would say that's a very simple ask of this card for sure. Now let's get into the airline with some of the most popular airline credit cards on the market. Delta. Delta's lineup is going to be the biggest we see today, with 4 personal credit cards and 3 business cards. The point valuation of Delta's points is 1.2 cents per point. Starting with their first personal card, we have the Delta Blue card. The annual fee on this one is $0, and its earning categories are 2x back on Delta purchases and restaurants, and 1x back on everything else. The only additional perk on this card is 20% back on select in-flight purchases, so once again, not too much to write home about. The one big thing I want to note here, not just with this credit card, but with all of Delta's credit cards, is that Delta recently changed their welcome offer eligibility rules, which basically state that you can now not get the bonus on this card if you've had any of the higher tier Delta credit cards before that. That applies all the way up the chain too, so if you had the second highest Delta credit card, you couldn't get the bonus on it if you had either of the top 2. So yes, technically what you would want to do is get this credit card and work your way up the Delta ladder so you don't miss out on any welcome offers, but you also have to keep in mind Amex's 4 to 6 credit card limit, which all of these credit cards would apply towards. Moving up one notch though, we have the Delta Gold card. The annual fee on this one is very similar to the other mid-tier cards, with a $0 annual fee for the first year and then $99 after that. Earning categories are going to be 2x back on Delta purchases, restaurants, and supermarkets, and 1x on everything else. Its additional perks include a first free checked bag. You'll be able to save 15% on Delta award flights. You get main cabin priority boarding, a $100 Delta flight credit after spending $10,000 in a year, and that same 20% back on select in-flight purchases. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but once again with this mid-tier card, we're basically going to be able to get all of the value back from that annual fee based on those free check bags. It does have some other nice benefits with it though, so in reality, could be a decent pickup. Moving up the chain again, we have the Delta Platinum card. The annual fee on this one is $250, and its earning categories include 3x back on Delta purchases and hotels, 2x back at restaurants and supermarkets, and 1x on everything else. Its additional perks are going to include everything the lower tier credit cards have, minus that $100 Delta flight credit that the Gold card has after spending $10,000, but it will also give you Delta Sky Club access for $50 per person per visit, a medallion qualification dollar waiver after spending $25,000 on the card in a calendar year, a global entry or TSA pre-check credit, and a domestic main cabin round trip companion certificate upon renewal of the card. I would say that unless you're somebody chasing status, the main added benefit that this card has compared to the Gold is that you will get that companion certificate after you renew the card. But that's just how I would look at the card. If the other benefits on this card are some that you need, it could be, once again, a good pickup for you. Moving up to the top rung of the Delta ladder, we have the Delta Reserve. The annual fee on this one is a whopping $550, and its earning categories only give you 3x back on Delta purchases and 1x on everything else. Once again, the additional perks on this card are going to include everything that the lower tier Delta cards have, minus that $100 credit, once again, that the Gold card gives you after $10,000 worth of spend on that card. But it also is going to give you full Delta Sky Club lounge access, 2 Delta Sky Club one-time guest passes annually, annually, access to the Centurion and Escape lounges whenever you purchase your Delta flight with your card, upgrade priority, and your companion certificate on this card is good with any domestic first class, Delta Comfort, or main cabin round trip ticket. What moves the needle for this card in particular is going to be one, I guess, that upgraded companion pass, but more importantly, the lounge access. This is especially important now too because Amex has been making a bunch of changes to their Amex Platinum card, which is restricting access to the Delta Sky Clubs, and having this card is still a way that you can get in there, so that's going to be a big reason I think most people have it. Now let's dive into the 3 business cards that Delta has. First, we have the Delta Business Gold Card. It has an annual fee of $0 in the first year, then $99 after that, earning categories of 2x back on Delta purchases, restaurants, US shipping, and social media advertising, and 1x on everything else. The additional perks on this one are actually exactly the same as the personal card, and I think the only reason that I would probably get this one is to just not add to my 524 count. Plus, the welcome bonus eligibility rules don't yet seem to be present on the business cards, although I wouldn't bet on that not being the case in the future. I just wanted to note that here because maybe this would be a better option for you to start with. Up next, we have the Delta Business Platinum. This one has an annual fee of $250, and its earning categories are 3x back on Delta purchases and hotels, 1.5x back on eligible purchases of $5,000 or more, and 1x on everything else. The additional perks on this one are exactly the same as the personal Delta Platinum card, but instead of the MQD waiver that you got on the personal card, you're going to get 10,000 MQMs after spending $25,000 on the card up to 2 times per year. Of course, my take on this card is the same as the Delta Business Gold in the sense that if you want to get all of the access that you can basically get on the personal version, you can do so on this business version without adding to your 524 count. And also that change from the MQD waiver to the additional MQMs you earn by putting spend on this card may sway you in wanting this one compared to the personal. Last but not least, on the Delta side, we have the Delta Business Reserve. Mirroring its personal counterpart once again, it has an annual fee of $550, and its earning categories include 3x back on Delta purchases, 1.5x on everything else after spending $150,000 on this card in a calendar year. But if you don't do that, it's just a base of 1x on everything else. The additional perks, once again, exactly the same as the personal reserve card, but instead of that MQD waiver, you're going to get 15,000 MQMs after spending $30,000 on the card up to 4 times per year. My opinion on this card is that it's obviously really good for high spenders who are chasing status with Delta. And I know it also gives you more benefits towards status than I'm talking about here, but I know Sebi has made some great videos on that recently if you want to check those out after this one. All right, y'all, hang in there with me. We are now moving on to the next part, that being Southwest. This is really the last part that there are more than like 3 credit cards with one specific airline, so we're going to be moving pretty quickly through the rest of these. Southwest does have 3 personal credit cards and 2 business credit cards, and actually all of them have annual fees, which is an important thing to keep in mind. But the point valuation for Southwest miles is 1.4 cents per point. Starting off with the lowest tier Southwest personal card, we have the Southwest Plus. The annual fee on it is $69. Nice move by Southwest there. And its earning categories include 2x back on Southwest purchases, Rapid Rewards hotel and car rental partners, local transit and commuting, internet, cable, and phone services, and select streaming, and 1x on everything else. So honestly, a lot of 2x categories, but once again, you'll be able to get at least 2x on every single purchase with a lot of other like general travel credit cards. So I wouldn't rush to get this card to put all your spend on it. Its additional perks are going to include 3,000 Southwest points every year on your card member anniversary, 2 early bird check-ins per year, 25% back on in-flight purchases, and a 10,000 companion pass qualifying points boost each year. This card is definitely an interesting one because I do know quite a few people with Southwest credit cards, but I don't think I've actually ever seen somebody holding this version of a Southwest card. Generally, if you want to get a Southwest credit card, it's actually best to get the highest tier Southwest card, but we're going to talk more about that later. Also, remember that Southwest does give you 2 free checked bags as well as a personal carry-on and personal item, so you're not going to see that free checked bag credit on any of these cards, but that's because it's already free. Next up, we have the Southwest Premier card. This one has a little bit of a higher annual fee at $99. Its earning categories are 3x back on Southwest purchases, 2x on Rapid Rewards hotel and car rental partners, local transit and commuting, internet, cable, and phone services, and select streaming, and 1x on everything else. As for additional perks, you're going to get obviously more than the lower tier card, but you'll be getting 6,000 points every single year on your card membership anniversary, 2 early bird check-ins each year. You can earn 1,500 tier qualifying points towards A-list status for every $10,000 you spent, 25% back on in-flight purchases, and another 10,000 companion pass qualifying points boost every year. As you can tell with this card, for just $30 more per year, you're going to get 3,000 more Southwest points to help offset that annual fee, but you're also given the ability to earn more TQ PQPs if you put a lot of spend through this card. But again, there's still a better option in my opinion. That option being the Southwest Priority Card. The annual fee on this one is $149, and the earning categories on it are actually exactly the same as the Premier. The additional perks though are where this card shines. It's going to include everything that the Premier card gives you, but the difference is that now you're going to get 7,500 points every year on your card member anniversary, a $75 Southwest annual travel credit, and 4 upgraded boardings per year when available. So the main pull of this card, and why I said that you should get this card if you're going to consider any of the Southwest cards, is that the 7,500 Southwest miles and $75 Southwest credit that you get every year on this card are going to automatically offset that annual fee. Now, because of that, everything else you get on this card is an added benefit, which is really nice. I do want to note too that this card is one that is most often paired with the Performance Business card that we're going to talk about later, if you're somebody that's trying to work towards that companion pass with Southwest. Speaking of their business cards, let's now talk about the Southwest Premier Business. The annual fee on this one, like the personal version, is $99, and the earning categories are the exact same again as the personal Premier card, minus the streaming services. The additional perks are going to mimic the personal version once again, but you'll have one additional benefit of being able to earn up to $500 back in credits for transferring Southwest points to another Rapid Rewards member, basically meaning that the first $500 worth of transfer fees are wiped. It also doesn't look like it's going to give you that 10,000 companion pass points boost every year, so keep that in mind too. Similar to the Delta credit cards, this card is very similar to its personal counterpart, but it won't add to your 524 status if you get approved for it, so might be a good reason to get it right there. And last but not least, with Southwest, we have the Southwest Performance Business Card. This card actually has the highest annual fee of any Southwest card at $199, and its earning categories are 4x back on Southwest purchases, 3x on Rapid Rewards hotel and car rental partners, 2x on social media and search engine advertising, internet, cable, and phone services, and local transit and commuting, and 1x on everything else. Additional perks on this one are going to include 9,000 anniversary points every single year, 4 upgraded boardings per year when available, up to 365 in-flight Wi-Fi credits per year. You can earn that same 1,500 tier qualifying points towards A-list status for every $10,000 spent, and you also get that same up to $500 point transfer fee credit that you got on the Premier Business, plus a global entry, TSA pre-check, or Nexus fee credit. So in total, this card, could definitely give you positive value by itself, but I would personally be using it with the Southwest Priority Credit Card to get me the companion pass with Southwest. The way that that works is that the welcome bonuses on both of those cards are going to push you over the threshold that you need in order to get the companion pass, but the trick is that you don't want to hit that minimum spend requirement on both of these cards until the very beginning of a calendar year, because once you get that exact number of points you need for the companion pass, you'll get it for the rest of that year and the next. So if you time it correctly and strategize properly, you can get the companion pass for basically 2 years if you do it right. Moving into the quicker parts of this video, now we get to talk about Alaska Airlines. Alaska only has one personal and one business credit card, and their points are valued at about 1.4 cents per point, so pretty valuable. The personal credit card that they have is the Alaska Visa Signature Card, and that comes at you with an annual fee of $95. Its earning categories cover 3x back on all Alaska Airlines purchases, 2x on eligible gas, EV charging station, cable, streaming services, and local transit purchases, and 1x on everything else. Additional perks include a companion fare, which is going to cost $99 plus $23 from taxes and fees for that companion fare ticket each account anniversary year if you spent $6,000 or more on the card in your previous anniversary year. It also is going to give you your first checked bag free on Alaska Airlines flights for you and up to 6 other passengers on the same reservation when you pay for your flight with this card. 20% back on in-flight purchases, priority boarding, eligible Bank of America account holders will receive a 10% rewards bonus on all miles earned for purchases, and you can get a $100 discount on an Alaska Lounge Plus membership when you pay for it with this card. Most people know of this card because of that companion fare. However, it used to be a lot more powerful than it is today because you didn't have to spend anything to actually get that companion fare, which is pretty crazy. And those that actually did apply for the card before this change was made did get grandfathered into that. So for example, my buddy Matt Welter, he's had this card for a while now, and he gets that companion fare every single year without having to put any spend on the card, which is awesome. But overall, this card should still be very easy to get positive value out of because of those free checked bags, especially if you're traveling with a big party. Alaska's business card is also not super cleverly named. It's just the Alaska Visa Business Card. And the annual fee for this one is weird. It's $70 per company and $25 per card. So $95 if you just have one card. The earning categories on it are exactly the same as the personal version, and the additional perks on it are also the exact same as the personal version. And the only difference I could find between these cards is that the business card actually normally has a lower welcome offer, but it also wouldn't add to your 524 account. So there's a trade-off there, I guess. All right. So as you can tell, I am in a different pair of clothes because I had to record this in 2 separate days because of how long it was. But let's go ahead and jump into the next airline, JetBlue. JetBlue has a lineup of 2 personal credit cards and 1 business credit card, and their point valuation is a very respectable 1.4 cents per point. As for their first personal card, they have the JetBlue card. Not very creative, but that's what it is. And the annual fee on this one is $0. The earning categories are going to give you 3x back on JetBlue purchases, 2x at restaurants and eligible grocery stores, and 1x on everything else. The only additional perk with this card is that you'll be able to receive a 50% savings on eligible in-flight food and drink purchases on JetBlue flights. I don't really think you'll need to hear much more of my thoughts on these no annual fee airline cards, but in the end, they're just good downgrade options. However, JetBlue does have a step up from that on the personal side called the JetBlue Plus card. The annual fee on this one is $99, and the earning categories include 6x back on eligible JetBlue purchases, 2x at restaurants and eligible grocery stores, and 1x on everything else. Now, the perks on this card are actually pretty great. They're going to be, of course, the same as the normal JetBlue card, but you'll also be able to get 10% of your points back after you redeem for and travel on a JetBlue operated award flight. You'll also be able to earn 5,000 bonus points every year after your account anniversary. You get your first check bag for you and up to 3 companions on the same reservation with you, completely for free if you use this card to make the booking. And you can also earn a $100 statement credit after purchasing a JetBlue vacations package of $100 or more. So obviously this is a much more feature packed card than the no annual fee version. And while some of the features aren't really that great, it should once again be a very easy mid-tier airline credit card for you to get positive value from. And if you end up not actually liking it, at least you do have that downgrade option. Their one business card is the JetBlue business card, and the annual fee on this one is also $99. As for earnings, it'll give you 6x back on eligible JetBlue purchases, 2x on restaurants and office supply stores, and 1x on everything else. So the additional perks on this one are actually the exact same as the Plus card on the personal side, but it also gives you one status hunting benefit that the personal card doesn't, where if you spend $50,000 on the card in the calendar year, you get True Blue Mosaic benefits for the rest of that year plus the following year. So I guess this card actually could be a better option than the personal version if you're somebody that wants to funnel that much spend through this card. Would your $50,000 be better spent elsewhere? Yeah, probably, but maybe one of y'all can prove me wrong. And of course, as always, you could get it for the lack of addition to your 524 status while also getting most of the same perks as the personal version as well. Next up, we have Frontier Airlines. Now, Frontier only has 1 personal card and no business cards. Their point valuation is a decently good 1.1 cents per point. And as for the 1 credit card they have the Frontier World MasterCard. Now, the annual fee on this one is $89, and since it's the only card, there's no good downgrade option from this one. But the earning categories on it are 5x back on Frontier purchases, 3x on restaurant purchases, and 1x on everything else. And the one additional perk with this card is that you'll get a $100 flight voucher every account anniversary after you spend $2,500 or more in net purchases during your card membership year. So my take on it is that yes, you can make back the annual fee on it, obviously, if you spend that $2,500 in a year. But once again, I feel like most of us travel card users are looking to travel for free without having to pay cash for our flights. So while $2,500 is not that high of a threshold to hit, once again, I feel like you're just better off getting a general travel credit card and then transferring your points here. Or if you're not flying Frontier too often, you just pay for some of those flights in cash. But is it worth getting a card that adds to your 524 account and gives you a hard pull and all of that? I don't necessarily think so. Once again, though, your use case might make this card make sense. Now it's time to talk about everybody's favorite airline, Spirit. Spirit has 2 personal cards and 0 business cards in their credit card arsenal, and the point valuation for Spirit miles is actually 1.1 cents per point. As for the first card they offer, we have the free Spirit travel card, and the annual fee on this one is $0. Earning categories are pretty straightforward. You just get 2x back on Spirit purchases and 1x on everything else. The additional perks on this card include the ability to receive 5,000 bonus points each anniversary year after making at least $10,000 in purchases within the prior anniversary year on this card. You also get a 25% rebate on all in-flight food and beverage purchases when you pay with the card, and you do get automatic Zone 2 shortcut boardings on all flights. Honestly, for a no annual fee card, it does not seem terrible. Once again, I don't think you should be putting $10,000 per year on a Spirit Airlines card, especially for just 5,000 bonus points, because obviously the math there is that that's worth what, $55? But the other benefits are at least decent. So if you were to downgrade from the higher tier card to this one, you'd at least still have some perks. And then as for their higher tier card, it's the Free Spirit Travel More card. The annual fee is $0 in the first year, and then it goes up to $79 per year after that. And the earning categories are 3x back on Spirit purchases, 2x on eligible dining and grocery store purchases, and 1x on everything else. The additional perks are the same as the free version, but you'll also be able to receive a $100 companion flight voucher each anniversary year after after making at least $5,000 in purchases within the prior anniversary year. So that's much more valuable than that 5,000 points we talked about with the free version. And it requires less spend, so that's good. You can also use this card to help you reach free Spirit status by earning 1 SQP for each $10 in net purchases towards free Spirit status. And then as a primary card holder, you pay no redemption fees with this card. And I guess if you're not a card holder of this card, you do have to pay redemption fees. So that's good to know. Overall, obviously, I think you can get positive value from this card every single year. But unless you really love Spirit as an airline, which, not a ton of people do, then I think there are better even airline credit card options out there, or again, just general travel credit card options instead. And now it's time to move on to the next part where we're going to talk about Hawaiian Airlines. Hawaiian has one personal card and one business card we're going to talk about today. And the point valuation for Hawaiian miles are going to be 0.9 cents per point, so the lowest out of anything we're talking about today. As for their one personal credit card, they have the Hawaiian World Elite MasterCard, and the annual fee on this one is $99, so no free version to downgrade to once again. The earning categories include 3x back on Hawaiian Airlines purchases, 2x on gas, dining, and eligible grocery store purchases, and 1x on everything else. Additional perks are going to first include a $100 companion discount for a travel companion on round-trip travel between Hawaii and the mainland on Hawaiian Airlines after each account anniversary. Plus, the primary card holder will be able to get 2 free checked bags. You'll be able to receive a one-time 50% off companion discount for round-trip travel between Hawaii and North America on Hawaiian Airlines, and you'll also get discounted award flights on Hawaiian. I think this is another one of those niche cards where it could possibly make sense for you if you frequently travel with Hawaiian Airlines, but it also depends on how you go to book your flights. For example, if you're going to be traveling back and forth between Hawaii and the mainland and you have cards with like Chase or Amex, you could very easily be booking flights on, other airlines possibly. And if you're using those Chase and Amex points to do so, then these added benefits become less useful. So again, it really all depends on who you travel with and how you book that travel. As for their business card, that one is the Hawaiian World Elite Business MasterCard. The annual fee on this one is also $99, and its earning categories are 3x back on Hawaiian airline purchases, 2x on gas, dining, and office supply stores, and 1x on everything else. The one perk that I found is that you will receive that one-time 50% off companion discount for round-trip coach travel between Hawaii and North America on Hawaiian Airlines. So obviously this one is just more of a watered-down version of the personal card, and while the welcome offer may be better on this one compared to the personal card, it's still likely one that you're going to end up canceling after year one, unless you're able to consistently get positive value from that 50% off companion discount. And just like the personal version, there's no downgrade option here, so if you didn't get value from it, you would have to cancel it. Now that we've covered 32 different credit cards, let me remind you what I said at the start of this video. I think that a lot of these credit cards are great supplement credit cards to your core credit card setup, but I think your core credit card setup, if you're on team travel, should be consisting of general travel credit cards with transferable currencies. So if you want to learn more about some of the best of that card type, go ahead and watch this video next. And as always, Odin and I both want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.